My name is Mshindi. I'm the editor-in-chief of the National Media Group, which is a media company that has media operations in East Africa, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and Rwanda. So I look after the content side of things for the group here. I do believe in the Merck more than a mother campaign, primarily because it really focuses on one area in life that is not very much spoken about, although it's fairly prevalent because of, I think, the stigma that is attached to the issue of infertility, whether it is a mother or a woman who unfortunately are the primary victims who are affected, or whether it's a man, which is the part of this problem that is usually never quite spoken about. Women, mothers, sisters, and the caregivers in life, unfortunately, are already burdened by many cultural issues, by the very nature of the way society has shaped itself, being very much a patriarchal environment. And it is a real challenge in a continent that has such a huge amount of poverty, and that relies a lot more on the woman to put the home together. So because of that, a content like ours does require some focus on this problem. And the fact that Merck has chosen this as the entry point is highly commendable. The videos that Merck has been able to do are excellent testimonies of this problem. They tell harrowing tales, really. They tell harrowing tales of how the issue of infertility has played itself out in the lives of these women. Many of them, married, eager, young, going into marriage, and suddenly, year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, no children. Suddenly, they start becoming part of jokes, abuse, and finally, even physical violence against them. It's pathetic. The media is a platform for communication. Some have described it as a mirror that you put in front of yourself to see what kind of society that you live in. And in this particular case, the media could and should and really must tell that story. We need to bring the story home that this issue is a real issue. It affects many people. It has got profound implications and effects on the life, the trauma on the individual person, and of course, by extension, those that are reliant on them for whatever it is. And much more importantly, activate some reaction. We want to tell this story in a provocative way. We want to tell this story in a feeling way, so that somebody gets upset by this discrimination, stigma, violence, abuse, and so on, and actually is moved to something. The stories must be told to demonstrate the fact that it takes two people for the fertility thing to happen. So it's usually not necessarily the woman who is the problem. What happens to the man? Does the man know his responsibility beyond just saying, it is you who is the problem? Can they point the finger themselves and also seek out some help and see whether together they can resolve these things? I took a personal interest because of what I saw in some of the video, and that touched me, because you see people who, for no cause, for no reason of their own, have been reduced to just being birth machines. There must be something more to life than that, and that if you are not able to give birth, it doesn't mean you're completely dehumanized, and that your value for life is zero. The award that Merck is sponsoring, in my view, is very important. In the first instance, because it spotlights within newsrooms the importance of this problem. The second issue is that then it starts putting some kind of responsibility and encouragement for the journalists to say, all right, I can do something about this thing. And hey, I can actually get whatever, recognition, get some exposure, and also even growth. Because awards have the effect of motivating people. And I've seen, in other instances where journalists have got awards in the so-called out of the mainstream coverage, environment, health, science, food, and so on and so forth. They tend to take it beyond the mere act of winning and actually become, if you wish, disciples. They talk about it, they take personal interest in it, and we end up creating actually a cohort of journalists that then we can say are really interested in this particular area. I would like to see this problem animate our journalists a lot more than has been the case. And if they tell the stories well, I can bet that we will see a reaction. And that reaction is at different levels. The president might see this thing and say, oh, I want to make this an issue. If these stories are not amplified, they will remain untold and people will really not know. And then at the individual level, I am hoping that the journalists that win, or the journalists that actually just participate, who send in entries, will feel sufficiently motivated to take an interest beyond the competition and become, within their families, within their villages, their homes, or their communities, become people who actually go out there and talk about this and try to reduce the stigma, because that's really ultimately the objective. Amplify the story, tell the story, but hopefully go beyond telling the story and start a healing process for the people who have been affected. I believe that this award is going to be that trigger that certainly will, even if we end up with one or two people in each newsroom across the country really interested in this thing, we will have achieved a significant milestone. I'm a journalist, and I'm privileged to have a forum and opportunity to give voice to some of these issues. I also do have, some influence among the community that I stay in. We still have links to rural communities. We have people through church, through, town hall meetings, opportunity to talk about this. And it is something that I'm going to put among those that I speak about whenever the opportunity comes, because they are there. If I do get a chance to contribute through linkages with policymakers, I shall be more than happy to raise this, because again, it's just not something that is spoken now. And I think if only we can make it a subject that is discussed, I think we'll have gone a significant step towards addressing this challenge.